Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pardon Your French podcast. I'm Stephanie Libre.
And I'm Vanessa Charente. And we're here today with Stéphane Béguerie, the mayor of Bonn, which is a small commune in the heart of the Charente in France.
So I'm going to ask some questions in English, and Vanessa will do the translating because my French is so bad. So let's get started. So, enchanté.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. He knows more English than I know French. So, Stéphane, how many years have you been the mayor of Bonn?
Alors, j'ai été élu maire en 1989 après un mandat de conseiller municipal en 1983. Donc, l'année prochaine, en 2026, je terminerai ce mandat et j'aurai eu 43 années de présence dans ma commune.
So in 1989, he got involved with the commune. Next year, he's actually retiring, so it'll be 43 years that he's been in service to his community.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. What inspired you to become the mayor of Bonn?
L'envie de faire quelque chose pour ma commune et ses habitants. Et en 1989, donc quand j'ai été élu maire, il y avait beaucoup de travaux à faire.
When he was elected in 1989 to be the mayor, there was a lot of work to be done in the community, and he just felt inspired to improve to do something for his community.
Yeah, which is amazing. And what kind of work?
Yeah, when you say il y a beaucoup de travaux à faire,
Oui. On a fait beaucoup de travaux, la rénovation du bourg, la restauration de l'église, la restauration de la mairie, de la salle des fêtes, du camping. Voilà, ça fait beaucoup de travaux, beaucoup d'argent pour une petite commune comme nous.
So they restored the church, they restored the salle des fêtes, the mayor's offices. He says the center of the village. He just said there was a lot of money in renovating all the spaces, the camping, because it's near the river. And so he says they had to spend a lot of money on it.
Was it the local community that did the work on the church, or did you have to get what I would call subcontractors to?
Les gens qui ont fait les travaux.
Non, les entreprises?
Oui, les entreprises, ils étaient d'ici.
Ah oui, on essaye de faire travailler localement autant que possible.
So you use the local enterprises as much as possible.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And is there a school like l'école ici?
Alors nous avions l'école jusqu'à il y a 7-8 ans. Ensuite, il n'y avait pas suffisamment d'élèves dans la commune, donc on a fait un regroupement avec les communes Aubeterre, Saint-Romain qui sont à côté.
Okay, so about 7 or 8 years ago, they didn't have enough students to have the school anymore. So they did a regrouping of the youth from Aubeterre, which is a neighboring village, and Saint-Romain, the other neighboring village, so that all the students would go to a school. Et c'est à Aubeterre maintenant.
Alors c'est à Aubeterre jusqu'au mois de septembre. Ensuite, Aubeterre va fermer et c'est tout regroupé à Saint-Romain.
Okay. So the school moved to Aubeterre, and then at the end of September, they're going to be they'll be moving to the school in summer.
L'éducation nationale ne veut pas de classe unique avec un seul instituteur ou professeur des écoles dans la classe. Il faut minimum qu'il y ait 2 classes et 2 professeurs pour des questions de sécurité. Et donc, il y a regroupement.
So they can't have so few students in the school that there's only 1 class and 1 professor. They have to have 2 for reasons of security and things like that. They want to have at least 2 classes of students. Donc le minimum, le nombreux?
Alors, il faut des classes minimum de 20 élèves.
So, 20 students minimum for each class. So they have to have 40 students to make up a school.
Make up a school. So in England, where I used to live, there was so many students, there was never enough schools.
Yeah. Il y a trop peu des écoles. Il y a trop des étudiants et pas assez d'écoles.
Ah oui, d'accord.
Pretty difficile. How many people work and support the Marine?
Alors, j'ai une secrétaire qui partage son temps avec l'agence postale communale. J'ai un technicien à temps plein et un autre technicien à mi-temps.
So he has one secretary who helps him in the office, and she splits time with running the post office, which is in the mairie, the local commune post office, which is really good to support, by the way. I like it because there's never extreme. It's the secretary that has to jump back and forth. And then he has two, men at work doing all of the maintenance. I'm a guy like commune, so they cut it grass and cutting the grass, trimming back the trees, trimming, doing the edgings and things like that. So that's keeping it beautiful. There are also two people that keep all this area beautiful year round. Surprise! That's the lot of work for the two people, isn't there? Il y a beaucoup de travail pour l'entretien.
L'entretien des espaces verts. On a tous les bâtiments à entretenir. La mairie, la salle des fêtes, le camping.
Le nettoyage aussi.
On a une femme de ménage. On a une femme de ménage pour la mairie, mais les autres bâtiments, oui, c'est eux qui entretiennent aussi le ménage, la salle des fêtes, le camping. Oui.
So he does also have a cleaner, a housekeeper for the mayor's office. Yeah. But those two men also clean all of the public buildings. So the public toilets, the salle de fête, the campaign.
Yeah, I have to say, I was so impressed when I moved here that every commune is immaculate. France is so clean.
C'est tout propre, il n'y a pas de détaché. Ouais.
And can somebody from your commune just walk in and ask a question, like a planning permission question, or do they have to book a rendezvous for that?
S'il y a quelqu'un qui veut venir parler avec toi pour le planning ou quelque chose comme ça, il faut prendre un rendez-vous?
Rendez-vous, oui, tout à fait.
Toujours,
oui, parce que...
C'est pas
non, parce que je ne suis pas 24 heures sur 24 à mon bureau. Je suis 24 heures sur 24 disponible, mais pas à mon bureau.
So he says, yes, you must always have a rendezvous because he's not at his desk 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
He is available 24 hours a day, but he's not always at his desk.
Yeah, okay. And it must be difficult to keep people out of your office all the time.
Il faut savoir qu'un maire, ce n'est pas un emploi, c'est du bénévolat.
So he's not an employee. He is doing it out of the goodness of his heart.
Je ne suis pas payé pour ça.
He's not paid.
J'ai seulement une indemnité de fonction.
So he gets a stipend for functioning as the mayor, but he doesn't get paid.
Et elle est de 650 € par mois.
650 euros per month.
But this is like a full-time job.
24 hours a day.
You do this for the love.
C'est la spécialité française.
It's the specialty of the friend.
So, were you born in Bonn?
T'es né?
Alors, je suis pas né à Bonn, mais juste à côté, la commune de Dordogne qui s'appelle Saint-Olé. Voilà. À 10 ans, je suis parti, j'ai suivi mes parents en région parisienne. Pendant 10 ans, je suis resté. Ensuite, je suis revenu définitivement m'installer ici à Bonn. Voilà. Et je travaillais at the National Society Powder and Explosive in Angoulême.
He worked for the National Institute of Powder and Explosives, Angoulême.
Yeah,
in Angoulême. So he worked in munitions. So yeah.
Wow.
Dynamite.
Avec nitroglycerine.
He made nitroglycerin.
Yeah. Wow, like a scientist.
That's powder for the missile.
Wow. bell.
J'étais service maintenance. Je ne fabriquais pas directement les poudres explosives.
Okay, so he didn't actually make any of this stuff. He did maintenance pour les machines.
Voilà,
les-
alors ça s'appelle la gestion de maintenance assistée par ordinateur, GMAO.
Oh, so he did computer maintenance and assistance for the bomb makers and the powder and nitroglycerin.
I've never met anybody before that's like worked in that kind of industry. That's really
C'est la première fois qu'elle a rencontré quelqu'un qui a travaillé dans cette industrie.
En Angleterre, ça s'appelle Royal Ordonnance, qui fait la même chose que nous faisions.
Ordinance would have done the same thing. That goes back to the question. He was not born here.
yeah.
He was born he was born in Saint-Alais and then moved and lived in Paris for 10 years.
Oh,
With this family, yeah. And then they came back and then he has lived in Bonn ever since. They moved to Bonn when he was... T'avais combien... quel âge?
20 ans.
So I'm back at 22, and then lived here ever since.
Did you enjoy living in Paris? No.
He did... let me translate.
I don't like the big town. Trop de monde, trop de bruit.
Too many people, too many
Yeah.
noise.
Oui, et puis la nature me manquait. L'environnement, les arbres,
Yeah.
Famous thing.
la tranquillité.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah. I don't. You're a country. Well, I'd say like a country bumpkin, young American. Like I adore the countryside. Like rural France is just stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ici, c'est différent.
What's the most challenging parts of your job?
Plus difficile.
Plus difficile, des relations humaines.
Ouais. Oh ouais, c'est juste les relations humaines. Talking to people.
For example,
People is the most challenging.
alors la découverte aussi de personnes qui sont décédées seules, dead, ou suicides,
That's the way
ou les suicides.
suicide.
J'ai connu beaucoup de suicides aussi.
Ouais. So he, as the mayor, he's kind of responsible for sorting all of that out. And so when they find people who live here who have died on their have committed suicide, and
C'est ça, regarde.
he's experienced quite a lot of suicide,
Mhm.
and so
Jean.
I would never think that would be part of a mayor's.
responsibilities. Yes,
Parce que je suis officier d'état civil dans ma commune. Je suis officier de police judiciaire et officier d'état civil pour enregistrer les naissances, les mariages, les décès.
so he's the state for the state of France. He's the official in this commune for registering births, deaths, marriages. And so he has to be, I mean, you must find joy in births.
Naissances.
So,
Alors, il n'y a plus de naissances.
les mariages.
Alors, il n'y a pas de naissance dans la commune directement, mais à l'hôpital.
L'hôpital,
Voilà.
pour les animaux.
Après, c'est enregistré dans nos registres ici.
So where people pass away in the commune, people aren't generally born here. They're born in hospitals outside. So he doesn't get to experience the birth to bring that kind of toy. He registers them as the official for the state. But yeah, deaths are the ones that he actually has to experience.
Wow, there's a lot of pressure.
Ah oui, oui, oui.
Wow, my gosh, that shocked me actually. Yeah, that would be part of somebody's role.
Ouais, j'ai pas imaginé non plus que c'était quelque chose que...
Ah oui, oui.
Is there a lot more older people in this commune? So if the school's obviously not here, is it an older generation?
La génération des habitants qui sont plus âgés.
Alors oui, on a une sorte. Oui.
Vous n'avez
Alors,
pas des exemples.
absolument. Oui, les personnes, la proportion de personnes de plus de 60 ans, c'est 50% de la population, 50-60%.
So between 50 and 60% of the population is over 60.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Et c'est pareil dans beaucoup de communes.
Ah oui, oui. Le milieu rural, on a beaucoup de personnes âgées. Ouais. Les retraités.
Yeah, I mean, this area has a high population of retired people.
Yeah.
Not just the commune, but a lot of the communes in the surrounding areas. It's a rural living. It tends to be older population.
Do you find your community talk to each other?
Solidarité. Et oui,
Yeah.
tout le monde se connaît. Je connais tout le monde et je connais toutes les situations de chaque foyer et les difficultés qu'ils peuvent avoir.
So yeah, he says, yeah, there's a really good community spirit. The solidarity amongst them. He says he knows all of the habitants. They all know each other. He knows what's happening in everybody's foyer, living situations. So he knows who's suffering hardships and things like that.
Which is amazing because in obviously Paris or England, in America, you don't have that
No.
1-to-1 where, you know, one of your people that live here can come in and just say, I'm feeling a bit low, or I'm struggling financially, or I can't get to the shops, or that's incredible service that you offer.
Dans les grandes villes, il y a les services sociaux, des services spécifiques dédiés pour ça. C'est pas le maire de Paris qui va aller voir chaque habitant.
No, but like in Paris, they would have a society that's dedicated, and that's what they do. They go and they check on the local habitants to make sure that they're okay. It would never be the mayor that goes to their house, but here it's the mayor that goes to their house.
It's like he's doing everybody's jobs, basically, in one.
Yeah. It's a lot of responsibility.
But you have like a year, like an annual meeting of the mayors.
Il y a une réunion avec les maires autour dans la Charente.
Alors déjà, nous sommes regroupés ce que l'on appelle en communauté de communes. C'est-à-dire que toutes les communes sont regroupées au sein de la CDC, la communauté de communes La Valette-du-Dronne, qui regroupe les anciens cantons de Chalais, Aubeterre, Montmoreau, Villebois-la-Valette. Ça regroupe 18 000 habitants.
18,000 habitants. So they do have a separate society of the community of the communes in the area. So La Valette, Tudé-Dronne are what the community of communes is called, and then the communes all get together.
Le même principe qu'une commune de fonctionnement, mais à une échelle plus grande, avec des compétences, développement économique, gestion des écoles et tout un tas d'autres choses autour.
Yeah, so it's like another political level. So they have like individual communes, and then they have this grouping of more than one communes that have the same principle of like trying to work together for economic interests, you know. So it'd be like smaller than a county, bigger than a village, that kind of thing. So they try and it goes up like that. Et puis plus grand que ça, c'est
Après, c'est le département.
Et puis
Ensuite, c'est la grande région Nouvelle-Aquitaine. Après, c'est l'État français. Après, c'est l'Europe. En France, il y a beaucoup de strates. Il y en a beaucoup trop et ça coûte très cher à la France.
So, in case you didn't get that, he says in France we've got many, many layers. So you would have the village, you have the grouping of the community of communes, then you have your county, then you have your region, and then you have France, and then you have Europe, et puis le monde aussi.
Yeah, but that's incredible because the line of communication that must filter up and down is incredible.
Ouais, les papiers. Beaucoup de papiers.
I think that's the one idea that all English people have. When you move to France, there was so much paperwork.
Yeah.
They say red tape day. Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork. Do you have any association pour bon?
Alors, effectivement, il y a 4 associations dans la commune. Une société pour la chasse, société pour la pêche et une association qui s'appelle Bon Art Café.
Oui, just là.
Voilà, qui est une association culturelle qui fait beaucoup de choses dans tous les domaines, qui permet aux personnes de se rencontrer, d'avoir un lien social, avec beaucoup d'activités. Ça, c'est récent, depuis 3-4 ans, suite à l'arrivée d'une personne extérieure à la commune qui a mis ça en route.
Ouais.
Et actuellement, ils utilisent les anciens locaux de notre école.
So they've got 4 associations in Bonn. One for the hunters, one for the fishermen, but there is one that is like a cultural exchange, and so it gets good. They do a lot of things to try and get people out and to meet one another and to, you know, have that solidarity and community spirit, and they actually meet in the old schoolhouse.
I think that's
D'ailleurs, la communauté britannique aime beaucoup aller à l'association Bon Art Café. Il y a par exemple des cours de français ou d'anglais, des discussions franco-anglaises.
Yeah, so they've even got like the British Association, the Association of Brits, and then Association of French, and they'll meet at the cafe and have, you know, a French English exchange. Yeah, so it's very open in that.
that's lovely. Are there a lot of British people that have retired or live here?
Il y a pas mal des retraités, des résidences secondaires et aussi quelques couples de jeunes avec des enfants.
Yeah, so they've got quite a lot, and they've got quite a lot of retired people. They have quite a lot of people who have second homes here. British people have second homes, and they do have a few young couples with children that live here. Yeah.
I think as an English person moving to France, it was amazing to find a community and support, and in our local community in Saint Barrier commune, we've just started an association.
It's the same in all village.
Yeah, I think that's amazing because you can get, I would say, easily lost in England as a family. Even though you speak the same language, you can be invisible because people don't have associations really. They don't knock on people's door and say, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" Not really. That community spirit is essentially French, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rich.
Oui.
Yeah. Je pense que he knows so much what he was, yeah. He speaks perfect English. He does as he wants to.
Non.
Alors, you are president of the community.
Alors, j'ai été élu président, ça s'appelle le SABV Drone-Aval. C'est un syndicat pour la gestion des cours d'eau et des rivières et la continuité écologique des rivières, le bon état des rivières. En 2024, donc l'année dernière, suite au décès brutal de son ancien président. Ce n'était pas prévu pour moi.
So he became president as a consequence of the previous president dying suddenly. So he didn't ask. He didn't know he was going to become president, and he was elected. And what they do is this community of communes that he is a part of, they look after the environmental impacts around the river. So all the tributaries into the Drone. So it's to keep it green and keep it healthy. And yeah, c'est pour les pêches aussi.
Ah non,
De...
non, c'est uniquement la gestion des cours d'eau, l'entretien de la ripisylve. La ripisylve, c'est toute la végétation qui se trouve au bord des berges, des cours d'eau. C'est tous les travaux de restauration écologique, l'assistance pour la mise en place des passes à poissons pour que les poissons de mer puissent venir se reproduire en rivière.
So, yeah, they're like responsible for the water courses. So making sure the water courses are clean and open for like the fish spawning, to make sure that the vegetation is protected. You know, any vegetation that needs to be protected on the edges of the rivers are looked after.
That's a lot of work, and it's like a world within a world,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like each commune is like a little world. It has its own sort of ecosystem.
Le secteur est très important. Le syndicat regroupe une 60aine de communes. Ça part de Saint-Séverin jusqu'à Coutras, en Gironde.
Okay. So it encompasses, the community encompasses 60 communes between Saint-Séverin and Coutras, which is in the
Yeah.
and so it's a very important sector of the river, because beyond that is obviously into the estuaries and
Parce que la Dronne, la rivière la Dronne se jette à Coutras dans la rivière l'Île.
so that's where the drone meets up with the Lille.
Right.
Donc,
No. Yeah.
on gère la rivière et ce qu'on appelle tous les affluents, c'est-à-dire les petits cours d'eau qui viennent alimenter la rivière. Et il y en a beaucoup de kilomètres et de kilomètres.
Yeah, it's a vast area, and people, like tourists, when they come here, they love to go kayaking, don't they? So the rivers being clean is so important.
L'eau, comme le reste, l'eau doit être gérée. C'est une gestion. Et l'eau, va y en avoir de moins en moins, ou des fois, il y en a beaucoup trop d'un seul coup.
You know, basically the waterways are not that natural. They all need looking after, they all need maintenance, they all need clearing out. Même les plages, comme à Saint-Tropez.
Ah oui, c'était tout inondé, oui.
So the sediments that build up and the weirs, and they have to clean those out and make it, because even like the beaches at Aubeterre, they have to clean that and replace the sand and make it a lovely summer. Yeah.
What specific powers do you have as a mayor? So weddings, tourism, planning.
Alors, un petit peu comme une entreprise, j'applique les décisions du conseil municipal pour tous les investissements et le fonctionnement journalier pour les dépenses et les recettes que l'on a inscrits au budget.
So he, like an entreprise, he has to follow what has been decided by the councillors about, you know, like how to spend money and how to give planning. Donc c'est par exemple pour un permis de construire.
C'est moi seul. Non, c'est moi seul. Alors, c'est ce que j'allais dire plus à côté. Parallèlement, j'ai mes propres pouvoirs de police, donc qui garantissent la sécurité, la tranquillité, la salubrité publique. Donc, comme je disais tout à l'heure, je suis officier d'état civil et de police judiciaire. Donc, les permis de construire, je donne par exemple un avis. Mais je n'instruis pas moi-même. Je fais instruire les permis de construire par des services spécialisés. Voilà.
So he doesn't actually. So he's in charge of the services of the state, like making sure the police and the public safety and things like that. But for something like if you wanted to have a permis de construire, which is like a permit to build or something like that, he says that he's not directly in charge of that. It would be his, he would give his opinion to the correct entities that are in charge of deciding things like that.
So is it like Angoulême? Does everything from here feed into like Angoulême for approval of the, let's say, swimming pool or?
Donc, si par exemple tu veux creuser une piscine par terre, quelqu'un vient, demande à...
Voilà, une déclaration de travaux, voilà.
Et c'est rempli,
Voilà.
donné à toi, et c'est toi qui donnes...
Voilà, c'est tout par informatique. On envoie au service instructeur. Voilà. Alors, nous avons ce qu'on appelle un plan d'urbanisme dans la commune. Ça s'appelle une carte communale. Voilà, avec toutes les zones, par exemple, pour les constructions, où on peut construire.
So yeah, so like it's a service. It's like it's not necessarily coming from a higher up, like a bigger city or something like that. It would be they gets the paperwork from people and then they go in through the computer to give it to the correct service that would help decide whether or not it's going to fit into what is appropriate for the area. So he says we have maps that show where you can build, just like in the UK, you'd have like zoning and yeah, it's like that. And so say it's given, he could say this paperwork is not right straight away, but he would take it and give it to this service that's responsible for doing planning construction and that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do people get married in the mairie?
Ah oui, je fais des mariages, oui. Et j'ai fait des mariages avec des Anglais aussi, oui, pas de problème.
Et si tu penses combien ça fait dans ton...
Oh, alors je vais dire 5, 6 par an, 3, 6, plus de 200.
Some of the 100 weddings he's done here.
No way.
Yeah, and it's like French and English, and sometimes English.
So what do you think attracts people like myself, expats, to live in France, or maybe people that are French that live in other areas to settle in France, in Bonn?
C'est
La dernière question.
ouais.
Alors, qu'est-ce qui attire les étrangers ici? Je pense que d'abord la qualité de la vie, l'environnement, the good food, the quiet, le coût d'achat des maisons ou des terrains à bâtir. Moi, j'ai beaucoup, tout au long de ma carrière, j'ai beaucoup aidé d'Anglais, de Britanniques, à trouver des terrains pour qu'ils puissent bâtir des maisons. Ils venaient me voir à la mairie, je savais à peu près les gens qui vendaient du terrain à bâtir. Je les emmenais voir les terrains. Et puis, ils choisissaient. Et voilà, je faisais intermédiaire, mais gratuitement, bien sûr.
Toujours. C'est ta vie, gratuit. So
Service des autres.
he likes he lives in service to others, but so he thinks it's like, you know, the beauty, the calmness of the life, and it's tranquil. The environment is lovely. The opportunity to buy building land at reasonable prices, or to buy houses that you can renovate. And he says he's spent time with British and Irish étrangers, foreigners, and he's helped them find land in the company. He's taken that to show them land and set them up with the estate agents to buy it. Obviously, all for free.
So say example, somebody was listening to the podcast and they were like, I'd love to live in Bonn. They can come to the mairie and you could say, can you show me, like, on a map, like property or land for sale, or a property that needs renovation?
He would probably take them to the land itself.
Attention, tous les maires ne font pas ce que je fais.
Oh, yeah, so every mayor wouldn't necessarily do that. Yeah, Stéphane's especially lovely. That's why he's on a podcast today. Yeah, absolutely. Mais si quelqu'un a regardé le podcast, vient en France, à Bonn, rentre dans le bureau et demande, connaissez quelqu'un qui vend...
Oui, je l'accompagnerai, j'irai lui faire visiter les terrains et puis je le mettrai en relation avec les propriétaires.
Well, he knows, you've got to think he knows all the land that's for sale because he's a mayor. He knows all the people trying to sell houses or trying to sell land in his commune. So if you came to him, he would know at least where to send you, and very likely would take you and introduce you to the owners of the property. And I think that's amazing.
Par contre, depuis que nous avons fait la carte communale, c'était en 2005, donc ça fait déjà plus de 20 ans, il ne reste plus beaucoup de terrain disponible.
So there's not a ton of land available here because they did la carte
Communale, la carte communale. C'est le document d'urbanisme qui dit les zones où on peut construire ou pas construire.
So ever since they did this map of the commune to basically open up building plots in 2005, so 20 years ago, now there's not really a whole lot of land still available because they've been quite successful. This is why I was going to say, this is why it's like you people around. You hit it.
It's like a game of Monopoly, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's
Alors, toutes les communes, comme moi, de la même strate, n'ont pas de document d'urbanisme. Et c'est très compliqué pour avoir un permis de construire. C'est pourquoi la communauté de communes La Valette-du-Rhône est en train de préparer un grand document qui s'appelle un PLUI, un plan local d'urbanisme intercommunal entre toutes les communes. Grand document sur toutes les communes. Toutes les communes auront des terrains à bâtir. Ça sera structuré. Mais c'est très long, c'est très cher. Ça ne sera pas opérationnel. Voilà, il y a des enquêtes publiques. Donc, ça ne sera pas prêt avant 3 ou 4 ans.
So he says that not every commune will have this carte communale that shows all of these areas land for building. So there are some communes that just don't have building land. It's very difficult to get a permit to build in some of these communes. So this is why he says they're trying to create the La Valette-du-Rhône, which is a community of communes that he's a part of. They're trying to build a large map of all of the communes in the Communauté de Communes La Valette-du-Rhône that shows all of the available building land for urbanization because they want it to be more obvious or easier for people to find. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Obviously, it upsets people in some places because the community doesn't necessarily want that to be building land. So they have, I wouldn't say protests, but they get disquieted locals that maybe don't want their village to get any bigger and things like that. So he says they've been working on it, but it takes a really long time to get things like that done.
Yeah, I guess if you make a choice to move somewhere like one, it's for the tranquil, the beauty, the chill.
Yeah.
And then I guess if it was to be built up and, it disrupts the ecosystem, doesn't it? Which is why people live here in the first place.
Yeah.
It's a fine balance. So you've got some beautiful restaurants here, shaped low, and is it Guilty?
Guilty Lounge.
Yeah, Guilty Lads. I went there a few weeks ago for the first time, and it was beautiful. And obviously, I know Flo. So you're very lucky to have 2 restaurants.
Oui, exceptionnel. Exceptionnel.
Full community, because there's where I live, there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
On a un café, mais et une épicerie, boulangerie, mais pas de restaurant avec moi. Mais c'est pas loin de Ribérac. Ici, c'est pas loin d'Aubeterre. En été, c'est débordé avec les touristes. Les touristes. Donc, ici, c'est plus calme, c'est mieux pour les habitants. So, he's very lucky to have 2 restaurants. Obviously, my village has all the other essentials, but no restaurants. But we're only 5 minutes from Ribérac. Whereas this is less than 5 minutes from Aubeterre, but in the summer, there's so many tourists in Aubeterre that it's nice that this area can stay calm and the locals can still go out to eat and not have kind of that summer shine disruption.
I think, Aubeterre was beautiful, but you can't move in the summer for the tourists.
Yeah.
And like you say, when you live here, you don't want to be surrounded by, I get they bring money to the area, businesses boom in the summer, and then you've got the downfall in the winter where Aubeterre's, to me, like a bit of a ghost town. And then you've got the second homeowners that come over for the summer. So it's a real vibey area. But again, it's a disruption if you live here.
Yes. T'as compris?
à peu près.
C'est un peu plus compliqué si tu habites ici toute l'année. Parce que en été, c'est fou avec tout le monde là, les propriétaires maisons secondaires, les touristes et tout.
Ouais.
Et puis en hiver, c'est un peu
Plus calme.
calme, mais c'est comme la village des fantômes. Des fois, parce que tu t'es fermé, c'est un peu plus compliqué si c'est la première année que tu habites ici. Il faut apprendre la vie saisonnière.
Saisonnière, oui. La vie saisonnière, oui.
So, how do you describe the sense of community, especially between the French and the expats? I guess you've covered that when you say about the association.
Bien, alors, il y a quelques familles de jeunes, comme je disais tout à l'heure, avec des enfants, des retraités, et qui vivent à Bonn, là, qui sont très intégrés, là, je disais, avec, par exemple, par le biais du Bonnard Café, l'association là qui met en relation les Français et les Anglais. Et la communauté anglaise aime bien se retrouver ensemble au Bonnard Café et aussi au restaurant chez Flo.
So there's quite a few English that are very integrated and they take part in a lot of the stuff. And then of course there's like the Britannic Association and they're doing their exchanges in the cafe and things like that. And then, with Flo's restaurant, which is run by somebody who's British, that, draws in Brits in the nature of that she's British.
Yeah, and I think having a really good, strong community is such a credit to you that people that are English come here and they become more French, and they're integrated and they're settled and they have community and friends and they're social. That is all to do with how strong your community is, for sure.
Oui, la force de la communauté qui fait toi, t'es la tête, c'est impressionnant parce que c'est toi qui as donné l'esprit de la commune et la communauté pour tout le monde peut venir ici et vivre
Ensemble.
Ensemble, oui.
Oui, do you have any unique local traditions or events that make you feel especially proud?
Où je suis particulièrement fier d'avoir travaillé, c'est l'acquisition d'une bande de terrain le long de la rivière, sur 500 mètres, pour avoir accès à la rivière. Parce qu'il faut savoir que les bords de rivière sont entièrement privés. Ce n'est pas public par les propriétaires, ce n'est pas public. Donc, si les gens veulent aller à la pêche, logiquement, ils doivent demander l'autorisation aux propriétaires.
Particularly proud of is that they were able to purchase, the commune was able to purchase 500 meters, a strip of land of 500 meters along the river to allow for public access. So one thing that's really important to understand about the rivers in France is that they're not, the banks of the rivers are not public. So the river itself might be public, but the banks are not. So if you wanted to say go fishing, you would actually have to go to the owner of that land to ask permission to be standing on their land to fish. From it. So you are very proud to have been able to make a section of the river access public.
So anybody can go down there, go fishing.
Yeah.
Because they've got the communal.
It's just in front of the village.
So still have to have permits. They come here to you to get a permit to go fishing.
Ah oui, c'est nécessaire d'avoir la permis pêche.
Do you find that foreigners, English or any, are active participants in local politics? Are they even allowed to be?
Alors, le problème, c'est que seuls peuvent voter pour le conseil municipal les membres de l'Union européenne.
Les
Les Britanniques sont maintenant exclus suite au Brexit. Mais avant, j'ai eu dans mon conseil un Britannique qui était conseiller municipal.
So prior to Brexit, the vote, well, it's still the case. The vote is open to councillors for any member of the European Union. So prior to Brexit, Brits were eligible members, and he's had councillors that are British. But now, because of Brexit, technically now, Brits aren't part of the EU.
They get no vote.
So they can't vote, and they also can't become elected in local councils. But in prior years, you had active British members.
Par contre, ils s'intéressent fortement à ce qui se passe quand même. Ils viennent souvent demander des explications. Ils sont intéressés. Ils s'intéressent peut-être même plus que les Français qui vivent ici. Je trouve qu'ils sont très attentifs à tout ce que l'on fait dans le village. Et des fois, ils ne sont pas d'accord.
He basically said that he still has a lot of Brits that are interested to know, and they come and they ask questions, and they want to know the goings on, and they want to understand probably more than the French do. And I said, well, the French know the laws, they know what's going on. He goes, yeah, but also they're interested.
Yeah.
And a lot of the French don't seem as interested about it. They want to know what's happening and what changes and the new things going on in the commune, which is good. You want people in your community interested in what's happening.
Yeah, I think the English are, I guess, in that way. They like to be in the know. All the nosy, absolutely.
What advice would you give to expats who want to get involved in local French politics and community life?
Alors, l'implication, il faut commencer par maîtriser la langue française. Ça, c'est important. Il faut absolument que ceux qui veulent venir s'installer, ils s'impliquent, ils fréquentent les Français. Il faut fréquenter les Français, voilà. Et se rapprocher des associations locales, comme le Bonnard Café, par exemple, sur la commune de Bonn, et rejoindront la communauté britannique qui travaille avec les Français, voilà.
What's the most surprising thing that you've learned since becoming mayor?
Et puis, quelle est la chose la plus surprenante que tu as appris depuis que tu
En fin de compte, c'est le contact humain, les relations humaines.
Just
Ouais.
comprendre ce qui
Qui se passe, comment, pourquoi, tous les problèmes des gens qui viennent t'exposer. C'est des fois compliqué parce que tu n'as pas toujours les réponses. On est des conseillers quelque part. Tous les petits problèmes entre voisins que j'essaye des fois d'arranger.
mainly just like human relations. Whereas, you learn a lot about people and how they communicate, and you have to learn how to communicate with them and how to help in situations like disagreements between neighbors that you...
It's like being a referee as well.
C'est tout à fait différent des grandes villes. Il n'y a pas la même chose, il n'y a pas les mêmes relations.
Yeah, the relationship is so different from a big community, a big village or a town or city.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of there's 2 or 3 common problems that I always find expats or have is barking dogs.
Les chiens
Les chiens,
qui ronflent.
the chasse on their property.
Ah, la chasse de Hand.
Like actually on their...
Ouais, c'est les chasseurs qui
Ah,
parlent.
j'en ai propriété. Alors, là-dessus, je voudrais ajouter, for the Hand, je sais que les Britanniques sont très protecteurs des animaux,
Ouais.
mais il faut savoir que les chasseurs sont nécessaires pour la régulation des espèces. Aujourd'hui, il y a beaucoup trop de sangliers, il y a beaucoup trop de chevreuils. Ça provoque des accidents, des dégâts dans les cultures. Il y a beaucoup, si c'est pas régulé, s'il y a trop de renards, s'il y a trop d'espèces, voilà, il faut réguler. Et les chasseurs sont là pour ça. Alors, c'est vrai que des fois, c'est difficile les chiens qui sont en cours de chasse n'obéissent pas au doigt et à l'œil comme ça. Une fois qu'ils sont dans l'action de chasse, c'est difficile des fois de les récupérer et ils vont sur les propriétés.
Mais Yes, it is different. And I think that's one thing that English people must accept when they move to France. There is the chasse, there is barking dogs. You're in a rural area too, so you're going to get tractors and, things like that. The English people need to get their head around that before they move here, understand what the chasse is, where they are, or actually don't move here if they don't like it.
Yeah, because like you said, the chasse is so necessary
Yeah.
for keeping populations of animals that there is no predator for down. So somebody, the wild boar, and with our deer. Yeah, and so those two animals, they cause a lot of destruction to agriculture, a lot of construction, golf courses, a lot of problem, danger on the roadways, hitting deer and boar at night and causing accidents. And they also help protect against foxes. So when the fox population gets too large and they end up having to kill foxes, what are badgers called? I know this. Ils sont noirs et blancs, grands, moucherés. Ils sont nocturnes.
Les blaireaux.
Blaireaux. Oui, blaireaux. Mais il y a des protections pour eux.
Alors, le problème du blaireau, c'est qu'il propage, il est soupçonné fortement de propager la tuberculose pour les vaches,
C'est le
Voilà. Il y a des campagnes de
protégé.
Non, alors oui, mais il y a des campagnes en ce moment, entre autres, de destruction. Voilà, de piégeage dans les terriers où ils se protègent. Oui.
So yeah, because badgers are such a huge problem with passing TB on cows, and in the UK as well, it's a big problem for dairy farmers and things like that, because you have to end up culling all of your cows if they end up having a TB outbreak, and it causes a lot of heartache for farmers because they're so protected in the UK. And they recently have done some badger culls, but because there's no predators for them, their population grows enormously. And I asked him because lately in the springtime, you see a lot of badgers that have been hit by cars on the road.
Yeah.
And he says, they are starting to, they cause a lot of destruction as well when they dig their sets in farmland and things like that under trees. And so, like I said, there is some more push to lower their numbers as well.
So you're planning on retiring. What would you like your legacy to be, and what will you be doing if you're not in this office every day and on call 24/7?
Et je pense que depuis donc 43 ans au service de ma commune, j'ai participé à l'amélioration de mon village avec, par exemple, alors j'ai cité tout ce qui a été fait depuis la mise en place de l'assainissement collectif, l'aménagement du bourg, l'effacement des réseaux filaires, la restauration de l'église, la création du camping, la construction d'une mairie neuve, le développement du bar-restaurant, la restauration de la salle polyvalente, l'entretien des voiries, etc., etc.
So after 43 years, his legacy is quite vast. I mean, he has restored the church, built a new mayor's office, redone all the wiring in the commune. They instituted the système d'assainissement collectif, so they got main drains in the village. He created a little camping area.
Yeah.
He's basically he's proud to have completely
Built a village, which is incredible. Not many people live their lives and can say, this is what I've achieved, and just out of love and service for other people.
Il y a pas beaucoup de monde qui pourra dire qu'ils ont fait les grandes choses comme toi.
Oui, alors.
Dans leur vie, et ils ont été juste pour améliorer la vie de de leurs voisins.
Oui, oui. Alors, bon, moi, j'ai eu le temps pour le faire. 43 ans, ça fait beaucoup de temps, c'est toute une vie.
So time to do it.
Voilà.
Because 43 years is a long time.
Les maires qui sont pour un mandat ou 2 mandats, donc 12 ans maximum, ils n'ont pas le temps de tout faire. Il faut du temps et de l'argent. Et comme il n'y a pas beaucoup d'argent, il faut aller chercher les subventions de l'État, de l'Europe. L'Europe a beaucoup aidé dans le développement du monde rural. Oui, oui, oui. L'assainissement, par exemple, a été subventionné avec des fonds européens et des fonds aussi français à plus de 80%.
Wow. So 80% of the main strands installation was money that was acquired through the European Union and through the state. So he says, a lot of the things, if you're mayor for a short time, you don't have time to get the money to do it. You don't have time to set these things up. He says he was here for a long time, so that gives him more of a chance to get a lot of things done, but also knowing where to go to get the money and being able to get the money is a huge part of it, because if you don't have the money, you still can't do anything.
Yeah. Incredible. Et qu'est-ce que tu vas faire après?
Bon,
Retraite?
du golf
Non, du golf avec Vanessa? Oui.
avec Vanessa.
So he's also the president. This is how I know Stéphane. He's the president of the Golf Association at Aubeterre. So yeah.
Oh, so it means he's also doing low and the golf.
He's also doing public service for us, working extra, looking after the Golf Association. He's just approved. Well, the committee has approved purchase of a barbecue or a plancha.
So like, I'd never really met anybody before that lives their life for service, which is, I believe, how you found your purpose in life.
Elle a jamais rencontré quelqu'un qui a fait leur vie pour le service des autres. Et c'est toi qui l'a fait. Et c'est ton, what is purpose de vie? C'est ton, the reason.
Raison de vie,
Raison d'être.
la raison. Oui, tu m'en oui. Oui, oui.
What an incredible life you've lived.
C'est incroyable ta vie, ce que t'as.
J'ai essayé de rendre service. On est là sur Terre pour tous s'entraider. Donc, moi, j'aime bien rendre service aux gens. Ça me fait plaisir quand j'ai pu rendre service. Voilà.
Yeah, he gets his joy in life from helping others and giving service.
Wow, but that is the most purest way to live, I think.
Oui, parce qu'il y en a d'autres comme moi. Il n'y a pas que moi. Tu as le maire d'Aubeterre qui est très dévoué aussi pour sa commune. Qui fait beaucoup pour son village.
Yeah. He says he's not the only one. There are a lot of mayors that dedicate themselves to their village the way that he has.
Une vie comme ça, c'est propre.
Je pense que oui, voilà, oui, je pense que j'ai...
Bon community is very lucky to have it.
Yeah, they are.
Amazing.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
You're shy.
Welcome all English people wants to move in my village.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time, and it was lovely to meet you.
Thank you for tuning in to our episode of Pardon Your French. We hope you've learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on our social medias, and, keep listening.
Keep listening. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Merci.
Merci.
Welcome, you're welcome.